So this guy here, he's not a coach for this team. This is one of the fan ultras chewing out their team after they lost a game. So this was last place Bundesliga club Darmstadt. They lost 6-0 to Augsburg, and one of the club's ultras came on to address the players in front of the stand. They're 12 points from safety with 10 games to play. And this event has caused controversy on Twitter, or X as it's called, and it's divided opinion. So let's look at a few of the opinions. Right here we have Fiago, who I believe is a German TikTok and Twitter creator and YouTuber. If you think this is weird, you never understood what football is in the first place. Pick baseball. Apparently, passion only exists in Europe and not in American sports like baseball, I guess. I don't know. This guy says, making an assumption that his words were appropriate, but could you imagine the prima donnas in the USA listening to their supporters in such a manner? Not just football, but any sport. And this guy, I think this is brilliant. Fan-owned clubs is exactly the way it should be. Fans pay the money, many dedicate their lives to it, but they're told to sit down and be quiet, accept it what happens. It's their club, have every right to have the opportunity to confront poor performances. But this wasn't the only opinion. We have some opinions that just disagree. This guy here says losing 0-6 and then having to listen to Dave down at the pub screaming in your ear afterwards. And yeah, I kind of sympathize with this rhetoric. The idea that some random fan comes onto the pitch and just gets to scream at the top of his lungs because you played poorly when you already probably feel like shit. Yeah, it kind of stings. Then lastly, Jason Base, this entitled BS wouldn't fly in the U.S., nor should it fly anywhere. In the U.S., he'd rightfully be tackled before ever setting foot on the pitch. You don't like the way your team is playing? Don't give them your money. And here's the thing. This isn't an American versus European thing. In fact, there were many Americans that were defending this, and there were Europeans scolding it as being completely and entirely inappropriate. But what is my opinion? My opinion, he was completely in the wrong to come onto the field and yell at him, and it's completely ridiculous that the team actually allowed him to do so. Here's the thing. Yes, that guy is passionate. Yes, he is an ultra for the club. Yes, he loves the team and all these things. But none of those mean he is anyone who has any knowledge or insight or anything that is going to make that team better. In fact, a lot of those things could actually work against him because he's so passionate, he probably isn't actually thinking very rationally. Like, the fact of the matter is this. All this did was create a spectacle for the fans and for people on the internet. It might have actually been counterproductive for the team morale, because I'm going to tell you this right here and now. If I was in a game and just got my ass kicked, then I had to have a fan come over and tell me how horrible I played and how terrible I was, my morale would be down in the dumps after that if I actually had to stay there and listen to him, especially if I didn't think he knew what the hell he was talking about, which, let's be completely honest, most of the drunk fans screaming at the TV do not know what they're talking about. And if you think they do, you're probably one of those drunk fans. Because at the end of the day, this team is probably just going to get relegated from the Bundesliga, and it probably has nothing to do with passion, hard work, or anything like this. It probably has to do with the fact that the players on the pitch are worse than those on their opponents, and the tactics from their coach aren't good enough to make up for the shortcomings of their players. Like, unfortunately, that's sports for you. Usually, the weaker teams eventually lose. Somebody has to have the worst team in the league, and it looks like it's that team right now. But tell me what you guys think in the comments. Do you think fans should be able to harass and yell at players after games, or are you a reasonable person?